I want to talk about really, I think it's for people to be aware from my perspective of how the industry is developing and changing, and particularly the competitive threats and the way the market is developing around the world from an air service development perspective, and particularly a tourism perspective, with myself coming from an aviation backdrop on that. And I think that so it's a real challenge these days, but not just for the Caribbean, but for any destination or any city, region that is trying to develop its business and trying to attract international tourists and visitors. And that's a fundamental part of the Caribbean marketplace. So there are many challenges that you face with regard to the changing nature of the aviation industry. And I think for me, it's okay, that'd be fine to talk about some of the challenges, but I want to try and put forward some thoughts around how do you deal with that, and how do you react to that environment, and try and plan to move forward. And I think that probably the single theme, or the largest theme that I want to talk about is collaboration between the various different stakeholders in this process, whether that be the tourism boards and tourism authorities, or hotel associations, the airport operators and infrastructure, and the ministries of economic development, all of the various stakeholders that have a vested interest in developing airlinks and develop that connectivity that the destinations need. So really to think, well, look, how can you work together? How can you be coherent in the way that you approach the market? Trying to have an understanding of what airlines and tour operators are looking for, and what do they expect of you, and the sort of expectations they have of other places around the world. So I want to try and articulate what the airlines want to hear, and how they want those things presented, and so much of that is entities working together, which I think is not, my experience is that people do work together in many ways, but there is always, in all organisations, lots of silos and different interests that people have. So trying to bring them together to be a sort of holistic presentation of the markets that are on offer, I think is very important. So they're the big themes that really I want to focus on.
So let me ask you a couple of very quick questions here, and without necessarily divulging all of the details.
Yeah.
What are airlines and operators looking for?
Yeah. Well, they primarily they need sustained, viable markets, which places all sorts of pressure these days because of the competitive choices they have, and the financial aspects of running airlines, and how marginal that business can be. So they're looking for longevity, they're looking for sustainability, but they're looking for partnership, in the sense of cities, airports, tourism authorities getting together with the airlines and being really behind the development of a new route or a new service, or an existing service. So they really need to work together. You have to regard the commitment that they make as a major investment in any destination. It's a major capital investment and people investment. And they want to do these things for the long term, very, very much so. So that partnership, that desire to work together and support, they want people to be joined up. I had a great quote from, I think it was Emirates some time ago. We were talking to them about how they like to deal with airlines and with airports and cities. And they said, look, everybody has to work as if it's it's one destination story that you're giving, irrespective of who you're coming from. So the message has got to be the same, whether it's the tourist board or the airport or any other entity. So, but it really is a working partnership. The days have gone where people can sit back and expect business to come their way because they have some kind of great facility, or the beaches are particularly attractive, or there's a fantastic hotel development down the road, and therefore we built it so people will come. those days are over all over the world. So it really is that, and I think it is the sustained aspect of this that we can't knock on an airline once and expect them to have that conversation and never deal with them again. It's a sort of lifetime relationship that people need to be cultivating.
You've got that perfect presentation, and you said there are do's and there are don'ts. What's that one critical do there must be, and what is that one detrimental don't?
I knew you were going to ask me this. I'm always a hostage to fortune when we write something like a perfect presentation. So my presentation better be good, I guess. But I think it's hard to single the one thing, except that is the operative word. So and what I mean by that is you have to focus on one thing, or the thing that makes a place different or stands out above the crowd. So many people will do this. We try and present too much. That my market has everything. Look at this resort, this diving, this mineral extraction, this type of business, whatever it might be. And you have to put yourself in the minds of the audience who receive presentation after presentation after presentation and pitch. And we in our business, I think you're aware, our sister company runs the Roots events, and where we have thousands and thousands of meetings take place between airports and cities and airlines. And it becomes bewildering for the airlines, particularly, to absorb what they hear. So I really want people to think about, if there was one thing they want to be remembered, what is it? And say that, and be really think about what makes your market different from your neighbours or somewhere else around the world. So how can you be different? If you can, how can you articulate something that is truly unique and says something about you? So it's the brevity of the presentation, it's the clarity, it's thinking of the one thing you'll remember, and I guess then the don'ts in a perfect presentation is the opposite of all of that. It's trying to say too much and feeling that I can't not tell this complete story because I won't have done my job if I've left the meeting in that regard. So they're key things. And I guess what else? There's two or three other points in this. The art of listening in a presentation is always lost. I think I try and encourage myself and my team and our clients when we're having meetings with airlines and tour operators to spend as much time listening as possible and not presenting. That's very difficult when we're trying to convey information, but the only way to get real engagement with people is if you're listening to what they're telling you and trying to react to that. And I think being honest and authentic in your presentations. We can't claim to have the most visitors in a particular resort if it's not true, or if we don't have the best features, let's not say we have the best features, but let's talk about what we do have that's really good and be authentic, because these airlines and operator customers will do their due diligence on cities and regions when they want to fly, and they want to know what's going on, what really is this market about. So they're the key themes that I'll talk about, and hopefully I'll try and deliver it in a perfect way.